How do you define the journal application process?
Press enter and I'll see a set of papers. Then I arrange it in the order of recency, and then
Mhm.
I'll see, okay, who are the authors and
Hmm.
which universities are they from.
Hello, Sapiens. Today we have with us Sanya Jain, who has recently completed her master's from IIT Gandhinagar and has received Swiss Government Fellowship. I'm sure there will be a lot to learn today, especially about graduation studies and abroad studies process. All of that with a pinch of cognitive science. That is what I hope. So, welcome, Sanya. Welcome to the
Hi.
podcast. Okay, so now let's go to the this. This was about more of you so
Yes.
far. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go to the meat of someone, if someone is listening, like to the meat of the
Yes.
whole thing.
Yes.
um so let's start from the journal application process. Like,
Yeah.
what's the generalized process, not just the Switzerland one, but
Yeah.
I am sure, I'm pretty much sure you would have applied to other countries as well.
I applied to only those places which I knew would materialize, weren't the right fit for me, or I wasn't the right fit for them. So that was also a decision which I took because there were 20 places. I had
Mhm.
the aim of applying to 20 places. I've written over, just for the PhD applications, around 100 to 150 emails, and the 500 emails I've written over 2 years for internships
Mhm.
and everything. But getting to the point,
Mhm.
I was like, I just applied to 2 places because I knew that if I apply to more places than that, then the quality of my applications will degrade.
How do you define the journal application process?
It very much depends on the country that you want
Absolutely.
to go to, the course that you want to pursue, and the
Yes.
university. Even within the
Yes.
same country, different universities have different parameters for admissions. They would have different deadlines. They would have different ways of providing you funding,
Yes.
and they have different lengths of the
Okay.
program.
So taking question from their angle to our angle, what should
Yeah.
be our generalized approach if we are going
Yeah,
towards? Okay.
I think let's talking about some of the things which remain common across different countries. First of all, realize whether you want to do a PhD or whether you want to do research or not.
Please do it. It's so intense. You're gonna
Yeah,
regret it. That would not be a wise decision. Yes.
exactly, exactly. So people what they think is that since taking a gap year in India is considered failure, uselessness, whereas in a lot of other cultures, it's considered a phase of self awareness.
Some universities have actually this fellowship of 1 year where they would pay you and ask you to travel the world.
I think it's so important. High time we got beyond the social norms should change in a way that people who are not able to go beyond the social norms don't have to suffer. People are making this effort, and they now have the ability to take off a couple of years and prepare for whatever exams that they want to do. Yeah, and then, like, for instance, for me right now, I'm not looking forward, or even just getting anxious about long term goal, really,
Mhm.
because I know what my drive is. I know what I
Mhm.
want to know, but I don't know how I will know that. Okay, I
Hmm.
don't have that 100% with me because I don't feel the need to be over focused or over committed to planning things, because my life right now is totally different from what I would have planned 3 years ago. Utmost happy with what I am
Hmm.
today and what I'm doing today. I'm extremely happy with that.
There is a lot to think about when it comes to Indian households. I'm not really sure how was it for you, but you can tell better. But when you took the decision to actually go to Switzerland, and that would have been like 1.5 year ago, right? I'm gonna go to this place. I'm gonna study for, let's say, these many years, and then I'll see if I want to come back or not. And as you have told me, like in the last conversation, you being the only child,
Hmm.
that wouldn't be easier decision for your parents. I'm just guessing. How was
Yeah.
it for you? So let's discuss the
Uh,
Indian problems when you're applying abroad.
I
Uh,
think my parents were pretty open to it. My
okay.
dad was there because my dad is a doctor. So yeah, so my dad was there with my mom, and anyway, they really didn't tell me what to do, what not to do. They just wanted me to make a decision based on whether I wanted to study what I had applied for, because I had double mind again about.
That's amazing. Like you have their support in avoiding the regrets as we
Yeah,
have.
exactly. So yeah, so they told me this, and then I made a lot of, again, there had to be a lot of trade-offs. What is my long-term, vision, and is it something? Of course, I really, really respect the opportunity which was given to me. It was just that preferences, whether it was
Mhm.
familial, or it was professional, or it was personal.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was the right decision for me to pursue. I wanted to explore something. I wanted to do research. I
Mm.
also wanted to do science com, and I thought that maybe a better decision that will accommodate different needs for the
Mm-hmm.
family, for my own self, would be
Mm-hmm.
to pursue it in a different place. And if I like to pursue it again from some other place, then of course I do know that I have the ability to crack, and with the support of my mentors, I can again do it whenever I want to.
So you mentioned mentors. For me asking about that, I just wanted to share this. I left for China for my master's. It was in 2018. And the application actually went through. It took 1.5 years. Like you prepare for it, and then all that. But
True.
actually, for me, the preparation started 3 years ago before me actually moving. There
Okay.
was like all the mental preparation. We had a lot of conversation inside the house, like preparing them. How am I gonna arrange the funds? I was not actually like you, who is so much into studies. I just know the more I experience the places, the people that
Mm.
I haven't been in touch with since the childhood, because that's what forms you. You're the result of collective experiences, like all the things that you have. The mind grows till 25 years of age, and then it starts to actually stabilize itself down, and whatever you accumulate till 25, it remains there. And then that was the number that stood in my head, and I thought there is no other way that I'm gonna go get out from the place that I've been living in.
Yeah,
And I was fortunate that I have an elder brother, so I can take a couple of years off and I then go and experience all the stuff. But then of course COVID was a part of it. But I just wanted to put this out for someone who is listening, how hard it is, totally different for every other person. So for me, it was all the mental preparation. Some
mm,
people are like, fuck it. They will be fine. Parents will be fine. Let me go. And they'll be fine after 3 months. And being so much sensitive, it was not very easy for me. So I
mm,
actually took 3 years, very much like a lot of patience, a lot of goes and to and fro's, to actually make them understand how much it is important for me, and then simultaneously doing the things that would be important for them. So I can go out like doing the job, or probably roaming around doing solo travel. I can do all of that. I can just go out. And but for them, the easiest way would be to understand that, okay, this guy wants to study more, let him go out. and
absolutely.
and then the other thing was to arrange the funds and all of that. So again, something similar to you, that
Yeah.
I got the scholarship, government scholarship, and then they fully fund you. Like you don't need to spend even a penny. They actually pay for the tickets as well. Germany was also a nice option when it comes to the free study abroad options. But anyway, I think I took it.
No, no, it was very important for
I,
us to know, for everyone to know that
yes, you
every
you
household is
as you
different.
said, we need to know what we actually want. We need to figure out the way how we can get it.
Ab-
And however long does it take, it doesn't matter. You just keep pushing, and then there will be a time that you will get that.
Exactly.
So coming back to the original questions,
Yeah.
so how do you actually start preparing for, let's say, now boiling it down, as you said you didn't apply anywhere else. um, so Swiss government fellowship, how did you actually start with that? Although we somebody who is listening can go to your Twitter, and like
Mm.
it's like a lot in detail. This conversation wouldn't make sense, but I think this would be a supplementary that I want to just
Yes.
put in between
Yes,
that.
absolutely. So the first step, again, you have to realize whether you want to do it, why you want to do it. And if you come to the conclusion that, look, I really want to do research, then you have to understand what kind of research, what kind of labs, then you come to the practicalities of it. Because whatever lab that you come across is not going to offer you the exact, research problem to address. It's going to be related to what you want to do, but
Mhm.
I mean, if you want to explore whatever you want to do, then you have to start your own lab, right?
Mhm.
Otherwise, in the process of your PhD, you learn how to do research on a
Mhm.
question which you find interesting, so that
Mhm.
you apply that skill set to questions that you really, really want to investigate.
Mhm.
So, considering that you've assessed all of this, now the first thing is to start reaching out to these professors. In most cases, you visit their websites and everything, but how do you even visit their website? So, what I did was that there are some search engines like Google Scholar,
Mhm.
Semantic Scholar, ResearchGate, Scopus. So I just simply type down, let's say if I type self-awareness, press enter, and I'll see a set of papers. Then I arrange it in the order of recency, and then
Mhm.
I'll see, okay, who are the authors and
Mhm.
which universities are they from. Go to that university, read their profile. What do they say about reaching out to them? A lot of professors have this section on how to reach out to them. I saw that. I read that, okay, some of them have mentioned that you can reach out to them via email. Some of them have said no need. Some of them have said nothing. So for people who have said nothing and who have said that you can reach out to them, I have sent out cold emails, which is
Mhm.
how you get to start establishing contact with someone that you don't know from before. And there's a way to go about it, which I have also explained on my Twitter. And then it's a great opportunity to establish your contact with them. And
Mhm.
if you do it right, uh, I think, I don't know, like, I guess if the listeners have sent these kinds of emails to anyone,
Mhm.
whether it's entrepreneurs or if it's professors or if it's someone that they really admire, a
Mhm.
public speaker, if you can understand the purpose of it, if you can understand why they will benefit or they would want to talk to you, if
Mhm.
you can assess that, and if you can keep it short and condensed, then you're really likely to get a response in a
Okay,
very.
so how to write a cold email?
Had a lot of experience in writing cold emails in the academic sphere.
Mhm.
So I would share that first, because later on, as I grow into other industries, I will surely want to share that as well.
Just
So
saying, the principles are the same,
yeah,
as
yeah, but then the packaging is a little different. So
absolutely.
yeah, so I think for academics, you have to start with, of course, knowing whether the cold email will be entertained or not, and that you can gauge from reading the website of the professor or the lab. And then you have to make sure that your cold email has three aspects to it. You first have to greet them, dear doctor, this last name in most
Mhm.
cases, and be culturally sensitive in how you're addressing in the first line. Try to do some research how you address professors in Germany, how you
Mm.
address professors, and then you'll get an answer very easily. Do that, and then you just tell them that, I hope you've been well, I hope this email finds you well, and all of that, just one line. And then you get to the point that I am a don't say that I'm Sanya Jain, or don't say that I'm, Ishan Sharma, because
Mhm.
because they can see your name when your email
Yeah,
appears. Just
absolutely.
save yourself that space,
Mhm.
because there's a lot to come. So just say that I am a bachelor student or I'm a master's student at this university, and my research interests involve blah blah blah, and I'm reaching out to you to know if you're accepting doctoral candidates for the year 2020. And if they have mentioned that they are accepting, then you don't have to write that. Then you can just say that I'm reaching out to you in the context of my grad school application. I mean, you know what I mean, right? You customize
Mhm.
that line according to the information that's provided.
Absolutely.
I'm reaching out to you in the context of your advertisement or whatever. Then go to, and then you go to the second paragraph of it. That's the first paragraph that you've just sorted in two lines. And the second paragraph of it talks about, what is it that caused you to contact them? Why are you
Mm.
gravitated towards them? So you can mention a couple of their research papers, right? That I was exploring your work, and
Mhm.
I found your work on, let's say, stress management, interventions really fascinating.
Mhm.
And these are some of the research directions that your work inspired in me. And you
Mhm.
can mention two to three research. It could be a research direction, it could be a research question, it could be
Mhm.
an observation, insight. Mention those two to three insights or points in a bullet form,
Mhm.
because it becomes very easy to skim through them.
Mhm.
And then, for instance, I talked about, I think the best way for people would be to see it, and that's on Twitter, if you'd like to see it. And yeah, so
Links are in the description, by the
yeah.
way.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, I just talked about two to three sentences that, for instance, one of my research direction talked about that. Look, this is how you've done it.
Mhm.
This is how I would like to do it, because the
Mhm.
theory says this.
Mhm.
So this gives the professor an idea that you can build upon their existing work based on new theories that you've read. So
Absolutely.
you don't
And
have
you
to.
you 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 are saying this because you have done some previous work in your already existing degree, or you can come up with stuff. Why I'm saying this, because that's what I did. I went on to like these websites, Scopus, SCI, and all that. read a couple of research papers, filtering out with the university, or the other way around. You can filter out through the topics as well. And when I did that, I see, okay, these are the professors are doing something. And I read not just their work, but actually a couple of more researchers' work. Figure out, okay, this can be something really intriguing. I was really not interested in. You can develop the interest later on, but you have to come up with so strong points that samne wala should believe, because they know you don't know everything, but you just seems
Yeah.
to be curious enough.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, it depends. I think it's always about a balance. So, uh,
Mm-hmm.
so if you have even, a moderate level of interest, you can still reach out to them,
Mm-hmm.
and you can then probably expect yourself to develop a
Mm-hmm.
stronger interest later on. But it again depends, how much do you really believe you can develop a stronger interest in it, or is it
Mm-hmm.
just of the fascination about going abroad? What
Mm-hmm.
again, being self-aware
it
helps.
was it was the second one for me, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I think it is for a lot of us, but for me personally, I didn't really have to come up with things which unnaturally.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever questions that I had were based on my own theoretical understanding of various concepts. And, it was, I had read papers, and I only emailed professors whom I knew I would like to work with
Mm.
in the long run at that point,
Interesting. Interesting.
Later on, things changed, but at that point, when I was writing it, I was totally honest that, look, this is what I'm interested in currently. And then the last thing is call to action, like in any, email. You tell them that, if you believe that our interests overlap, or if you believe that our interests align, then
Mm-hmm.
could we continue this discussion further via email slash video, this
Mm-hmm.
virtual meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And just you can say that I've also attached my CV for your reference, and best regards.
And
That's
there
all.
is a whole different learnings that we have to do: how to write our CVs,
Yes.
how to write our SOPs. Well, that doesn't come in the cold emails, but okay. The we some actually want SOPs in the cold emails as well, or
Yeah,
probably further on.
I think if they haven't mentioned anything
Mm-hmm.
explicitly that you have to send a research proposal, research,
Mm-hmm.
and then don't send it because you don't want
Mm-hmm.
to overwhelm it. I think it's key. It's good to keep it a little bit of it's good to have a little bit of mystery to yourself. Don't
Mm-hmm.
give away everything within the first email. Let them contact you, because if you're just giving away everything in the email, they wouldn't have any other reason to contact you. This is
Nice.
something which my mentor told me, that you always keep a bit of mystery, and you give 90% of your ideas and 10%
Mm-hmm.
you give to yourself, so that the person is like, wow, I want to know more,
Mm-hmm.
make them
Mm-hmm.
curious, give them
Mm-hmm.
enough information but not too much. So if they're asking, then do give it, but if they're not asking, then save that mystery for later.
Okay.
And yeah.
Important question: how to follow up?
How to follow up. So again, if they don't reply within 2 weeks or one
Mm-hmm.
week, let's say one week, because 2 weeks could be longer, just
Mm-hmm.
1 week is good. Follow up by saying that, dear professor or dear doctor, this,
Mm-hmm.
I am so sorry to interrupt your busy schedule. I was just wondering if you had a chance to look at my previous email. Just reply to the same email that you sent. Don't
Mm.
write another email, because then they'll lose it. Just
Yes.
reply to the same thread, and the subject line will come up as forms it like re, and then the initial subject line that you've used. And then in most cases, they tend to reply. So I've had both experiences. Some professors replied within a day, some professors replied within a week, some professors never replied. So I had to send a follow up. And then most of them replied after a follow up, some to never reply. So you can't. So yeah, I think, yeah, that's how you
Okay,
follow.
so in the whole process, we are done with the cold email. Let's suppose we have nailed an interview as well. So we have
Yeah.
scheduled an interview with the professor, and
Yeah.
then say that there is a right way of cracking the interview,
Mm.
because every professor is different. They would ask a different question.
Yeah.
Of course, there are some general instructions that one can find on your tutor,
Mm.
but there is no specific way. So
Mm.
this is done, and now you have got the acceptance letter, let's say, from a
Yeah.
professor.
Yeah.
Now, how to get the money part?
I think about the money part, most of the PhD programs or they automatically consider you for funding along with your
Mm,
application in the
mm,
US specifically.
mm,
For if you're applying to European countries like the UK, France, Italy, Spain, I think these places, most of them require you to apply through external fellowships like government
mm,
fellowships or through
mm,
charitable like Bill Gates or
mm,
has this, and then Oxford and Cambridge have other a lot of fellowships. Some of the fellowships are within the university that you can apply for, but I think you have to, for most cases, you have to send out a separate application from your PhD
Okay.
application.
Do
And for
publications matter?
they do, but they are not a parameter for accepting or rejecting you. You know what I mean? So a lot of people think that if you don't have publications, application will go in vain. Publications matter, but only good publications matter. There are
Yes.
a huge area of predatory journals, and people like naive people who are not instructed enough, who are not mentored enough how to publish the right way, they end up publishing them studies in very unfortunately in the journals which are not decent.
If anybody is listening, there is a scam everywhere.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
publications have a,
Exactly. Also, they have an industry going on. Sometimes charge you, sometimes they won't charge you, and they'll just lure you into it. So it's very important to consult a mentor whom you think is, and probably just go out and reach out on social media. Twitter is a great space to ask all of these
yes.
questions. And yeah, I personally prefer Twitter because I think the academic sphere is much more active on Twitter than on any
Hmm.
other social media, traditional social media communities like Instagram, Facebook, and
I'm
all.
very new to Twitter, so I mean,
Yeah. Yeah,
LinkedIn was very working really fine for me.
yeah. I think I just have a preference for Twitter because of its interface, and
Hmm.
I think I get more targeted messages on Twitter. And of course, LinkedIn has a notification system which sucks. So I don't want to, I just don't want to open it. And but of course, people find LinkedIn very useful. Whatever you find useful, you
Whatever
can,
works for you.
whatever
That's,
works for you, go
yes.
ahead and ask. Okay, I have whatever in last year I used to ask a lot of questions, the same questions that write answers to. I used to ask them, and
Mhm.
within 1 year I learned a lot of things. So publications do
Yes.
matter, but good publications matter. But if you don't have publications, nothing to worry about, because
Yes.
publications are not a jewelry that you have to earn. It's just a
Absolutely.
way of demonstrating that you can do research, and there
Yes.
are other ways of demonstrating as well that you can do research, right?
Yes. So, what are your thoughts on these third-party companies that actually help you to fill up your applications and
Yeah, so I have so basically I haven't really had any experience with that, but I
Mhm.
do know that there is this entire industry of study abroad
Yes,
consultant
consultancy. Yes.
consultancy. So
Yes.
I think some of them are good. I wouldn't like to categorize them as all
Hmm.
useless. Some of
Hmm.
them are
Hmm.
actually good because the
Hmm.
tutors in those institutes or the consultants in those institutes have had a lot of experience, and they can
Absolutely.
actually sort of assess your profile. Of course, no one is perfect. They are
Yes.
really also humans, but I think they can sufficiently assess your profile. They can help you craft your recipe. And anyway, you anyway look for reviews. We all look for reviews, right? So
Absolutely.
so
There is
it's a
no
good
harm in
way.
actually
Yeah,
visiting them, taking their
yeah,
reviews and all those things.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I genuinely feel, if especially if you're going for research,
yeah,
any whether it's masters or whether it's a
yeah,
PhD or any, you should actually fill up your own applications, go through the
yeah.
whole
No,
thing,
yeah,
because going
yeah,
through Google, it's
yeah,
actually a research on its own. The whole
yeah.
application process.
Exactly, it is. And I by visiting these consultancies, I don't mean that those consultancies which fill up everything for you. No,
Hmm.
I mean the ones who provide you feedback. And there are
Hmm.
good consultancies who actually do that. They provide you the feedback because if you're making them fill the application, probably you will get the admission. But then what after that? How will you sustain yourself after that, right?
Yeah, if it's the only goal is to go there and settle down, अपन तो कनाडा चले हैं, तो
हाँ,
अगर ये
yeah,
ये वाला
yeah,
अगर प्लान है तो probably
yes.
it's a good idea. But if
Yeah.
it's not, then if you genuinely want to study,
Yeah,
uh,
seeking review is different from actually them having to fill it. And I would not,
yes.
and if any consultancy is doing that for you now, then they
Hmm.
are actually after they are really don't care about your career. All they care about is
Yes.
money. So don't
Yeah.
go for those. Just go for those which you can sense the vibe that they can help you improve your application, but you are the face of your application.
That's absolutely nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually put out a story on Instagram. There are a lot of Ajib se replies. Weird, so weird. But a couple of them the pattern that I could figure out was, does academic marks, like the exam marks or results
Mhm.
throughout your bachelor's and whatever history that you have, does it
Mhm.
matter
Yeah, of
in
course,
your experience?
everything matters, right? It matters. Everything matters. Whatever they're asking for in the application, of course, matters to them. That's a given. How much does it matter? And can it be a turning point for you? So there are a lot of aspects to your application, your CV, your letters of recommendation, your research statement, whatever, SOP, letter of motivation, proposal, and so many things, right?
And the mood of the researcher as
God,
well.
I wouldn't care too much about that. But yeah, but yeah. So of course, it shows how much committed or how
Mm-hmm.
sincere you were with
Mm-hmm.
respect to your studies. Because uh, apart from exceptions, most students who are actually committed to their studies are able to secure, in most cases,
Mm-hmm.
decent uh, grade point average, right?
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely true. But while on the other hand, I've had experience with a couple of fellow mates, like the classmates that I had. Okay, so as we were saying, that this requirement, you
Yeah,
should definitely have something to show in your CV
yeah,
related to the like exact field. Like
yeah.
if you have a couple of publications, probably marks can be ignored a bit, but for most of the teachers, it's so weird to say, but in an Indian education system, it's kind of very easy to score marks if you
Yeah.
understand how the exam patterns are there,
Yeah.
and if you're a bit smarter than the average. Whatever. Does internship matters? I mean, from experience.
Yeah, I think it does because that will give you insights into how to do research, and that's how you develop the ability to ask questions.
Did you do internships?
I didn't know. I did do it, and the one that I actually got, it was
Mm-hmm.
in Germany. So it was Max Planck Institute for Human Cognitive and Brain Sciences. But COVID, thanks to COVID, couldn't go. Then I in IIT only I did another internship. It was in an extreme, it's entirely different field from my current interest. It was in virology, so I studied over,
Mm.
and
So
I recently published. I mean, last year I published a paper on it, and then I wrote a tweet on how to publish a paper as well. So that was a great experience because that gave me an opportunity to learn how to publish, how to write papers, how to
mm.
answer peer review, and all of that. And then of course, and it actually helped me contribute to the literature with in something which is such a
To
challenge.
understand COVID as well.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
kidding.
I mean, it was interesting. I got interested in COVID because, of course, COVID. Actually, I'm interested in biology as well, right? So, how COVID affects your body, and then from that, what is COVID like, and how can you tap it, all of that. So that gave me an opportunity to understand and contribute to the society on a topic which is actually such a relevant one these days, right?
One thing
So
that I really loved about your story was like, you started questioning your thoughts, your thought process, how you actually like, and why you're interested in certain things as you are, quite early. There was like in ninth standard or 10th standard, and then
yeah,
eventually shifted to psychology, taking commerce and all that, and
exactly.
that helped you in understanding what you actually want to do. On some stage, still feel I'm still confused. Doesn't matter what I'm doing, but I still feel I'm confused. But coming from the other side of this, other side of the stories that are out there, you definitely like your story is definitely interesting to me. So either you be sure that you know what you want to do. That's what I figured out from your story, or what I think is could be a right way is if you're confused, then you be sure that you're confused. Don't try to fit in somewhere. Just
Yes,
go.
take your
Just
time. It's okay. I mean, take your time, and if you have the advantage of it, because I understand some people might not have the privilege of taking off, a
yes,
couple of years, and I'm totally mindful of that. But again, in that case, I would really urge you to seek some kind of social support. Okay, it's okay if you cannot take an off, and if you are necessitated to do some kind of, a job or have to go,
yes.
it's okay. I mean, there you can probably then be engaged in it, but also take out a bit of your own time and then think about it, introspect, and then see what you can do well and probably start a side hustle. And,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't mean it in the toxic sense of it, because the culture of hustle has become very toxic, but
Yes, yes,
side hustle in the sense that sparing enough time in a day for yourself so that you
yes,
can know, okay, if I'm not interested in this, it's okay. I'm just doing it due to my own personal circumstances, but I'm going to be out of it very soon. So
yes.
to get out of it very soon, you will be motivated enough to spare some time of your day and think about, okay, what next?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I'm just saying that, yeah, I think if you do have, recognize if you do have that kind of a privilege or not.
Mhm.
And if you don't, then it's not the end of the story.
Yes, and I feel it applies to every aspect of the life, whether it's
Yeah.
research, whether it's
Yeah.
graduate, whether it's going outside, living
Yeah.
inside, doing a job,
Yeah.
or whatever. So I feel you're really doing the interesting work in your field, and me being me, I'm interested in everything. So that's it's really nice talking to you. Thank you so much for the time. I
I,
know I took more than what I committed for, but I think it was fun for me at least.
I
I'm
enjoyed it so much.
I'm
Yes.
glad. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Sanya.
Thank you. Thank you so much.